It is time for our weekly visit with our good friends from the BerkshireEdge.com. We'll find news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we are pleased to have them on during the week on a Wednesday morning, and we also rebroadcast it over the course of the weekend. And if everything worked out all right, I have both David and Marcy on separate lines. Good morning. Are you both there?
Good morning, yes. Yes, we are both here.
David?
I'm here. Yes, I am.
David is just looking for, we're just looking for the list of the emails.
All right. Well,
you're in the sent, David. It's okay.
All right. Well,
I want.
You're in sent.
I am in the
sent. You're in those.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the list that we sent you.
Okay, so you can find it. Hi, Marshall.
All right.
We're here.
Well, do you have your list? Do you have your list in front of you?
Yes. No. I mean, go ahead. We know. I know the list.
Okay, well,
David's looking for it.
Well, we'll start off. Number one, a Berkshire-based musician and music producer was nominated for a Grammy.
Yes, well, I know this may not seem like big news, but, first of all, we wanted to say, that things are a little quiet. It's January. There's kind of a lull after the holidays. So for some reason, there hasn't been big news, so we thought we would sort of talk about the kind of interesting things that are happening that that we don't pay much attention to in other parts of the year. But so we do have a person. Have you found it, David? David's not finding the. Hold on one second, Marshall. Sorry. Let's go on to the next story because then we'll come back to this one.
Okay. What I was going to say about what you're doing, there's a lot of newspapers during this quiet time just don't report on things, and I say that there's always news. And it might not be hard news.
There's always news.
There might not be hard news, but there's community news. There's what we call community information news. So there's always something around to print and to talk about, really, especially out in our area. Well, the second story that you've been working on for your Business Mondays.
Let me tell you a little bit about that. I mean, we are looking at business. We are creating a business section on Mondays, and we've been sort of doing it all along, working up to it. But we've been trying to do profiles of local businesses because, for two reasons. We think that local businesses like to know about each other, but we also think that people who do business with local businesses might like to know a little bit more about them. That we may be doing business with people for years and not really know how they started their business, who they are, what kinds of issues they have. So we put on the list a variety of 2 or 3 things that we've published over the last couple of weeks that in our business section that have been really interesting. And the first one is about a young woman who grew up in New York, went to live in California, and then during the pandemic came home to live with her mother in Ashley Falls, just over the line from Connecticut, and started to invent a non-alcoholic aperitif. Which, and since she had some marketing background, she knew what to do. And so she has created a company called Figlia, which is Italian for daughter. And she has come out with her first product, which is called Fiore, which is Italian for flower. And it looks delicious. And it's a non-alcoholic aperitif. Her name is Lily Geiger. And she's off to a running start. If you look at her website, she has about 10 different recipes for ways that you can drink Fiore. all of which looked very interesting. And she said she did it because, there were too many people who weren't drinking, and especially since a lot of people are trying to do dry January. Too many people who just didn't have anything to drink besides club soda when their friends were drinking. So we thought this is really interesting. And she's 24, and the first month she brought in $13,000, and now I see that she's distributed in places all over the country. And on her website there's a list of places that you can buy Fiore. And it's a pandemic story and a business story. But we also wanted to go on to, we 2 weeks ago we did a terrific story about Guidos, which everybody knows, and the fact that there are now 3 people from the second generation, children of the original brothers who, are of course still there, but who started Guidos, who are little by little taking over. And we do a profile of who they are and how they're integrating themselves into the business. And the third business story that we had, we have a regular article every month by a woman named Harriet Zeman, who has a column called Adventures in Retail, where she goes around the Berkshires and tries to find really interesting or unusual or especially good things, mainly handmade and made in the Berkshires, but not exclusively, that she thinks are really special. And so last week she did a story for us on croissants, and she says that she has found there are world-class croissants at a new bakery in Great Barrington called Pixie Boulangerie, and she does a whole description about how those croissants are made, here in Great Barrington and at Pixie Boulangerie. So I mean, this is, it's just a very interesting. I mean, in that section we have a very interesting mix of stories that we think that our readers will really enjoy.
All right, David, are you got your list?
David,
I am here. I am just imagining eating one of those croissants.
Yes. Sorry, it's just that I've been editing the business stories, so forgive me for dominating the conversation.
No, that's okay. Let's go back. Let's go back to the Grammy story, because I think that is news, and I think that's good news. Yeah. David?
Yeah, right. Well, it's nice to put the Berkshires on the map. David, are you?
I'm here.
Back in business. Okay. Yeah. You want to talk about this one?
You want me?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm having. The reason I'm quiet is that I'm having trouble connecting to the internet here suddenly.
All right. I forgot.
You can go on, Marcy. I'm sorry.
Okay, I completely forgot. We're waiting for Spectrum to arrive too, because. Okay. Well. I'm going to share my laptop with David. But anyway, so our music composer and producer is a man named Matthew Cusson, Cusson, who lives in Williamstown, and he's been in the music industry for 20 years as a musician, arranger, songwriter, and music director, and he has worked with musical giants like Stevie Wonder, Dua Lipa, and James Taylor, The Roots, Boys to Men, and he has toured with Christine Aguilera, and he lives right here in Williamstown. But he never won a Grammy. And again, this is another pandemic story. During the pandemic, he got a phone call from a group in Dallas, a Texas-based a cappella group called King's Return. There are 4 members of this a cappella, and they called in the middle of the pandemic and said, would you do some arrangements for us? And so the thing that they wanted arranged was the Bee Gees song, How Deep Is Your Love, which we all know from Saturday Night Fever. So he has done an a cappella. He created an a cappella arrangement for them, which they performed. And they first performed it in a YouTube video, and it went viral. And within the first few hours, it had 500,000 views. So, and we have a video of it, the YouTube video, on our site. Anyway, they've been nominated for a Grammy, which is going to be announced. I mean, the ceremony is at the beginning of February. I think it's February 5th or something like that. So we can all be rooting for our hometown boy. And let me just see if I can help David. Yeah, David, here, let me share my laptop with David. Sorry, Marshall. This is, we're
on the road.
Your readers or listeners understand we are on the road in New York, and with no landline and separate and poor internet. So
the recipe for disaster.
Yeah, the recipe for disaster, right? So I think our next story
on Karen Allen.
On Karen Allen, right? So Karen, here, David, here you can see this. So
Karen Allen, people may remember her from many of her movies. She is.
She was in the Indiana Jones movie.
Indiana Jones, yeah, right. Anyway, she is opening up a fiber art shop. And that's what she's doing now in downtown Great Barrington. And now she is adapting a...
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Karen lives in Great Barrington.
Yeah.
She has a shop that she's had for a long time called Karen Allen Fiber Arts, but she hasn't lost her movie, her movie connections, and so she directed a film which was completely shot in the Berkshires called A Tree, a Rock, a Cloud, and it's based on a Carson McCullough story.
Yeah.
And now we just wanted to announce that it's available for streaming. Where now? And also the producer of the film is Diane Perlman, who is she's head of something called Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative, which helps to bring movie making to the Berkshires. And if you want to make a film in the Berkshires, instead of bringing your camera people and everybody from New York,
there's local talent here.
There's local talent here, and Diane Perlman's organization will help you, crew up here in the Berkshires, which is great. So, and this entire film was shot in the Berkshires. So now it is, it's in distribution, pay-per-view platforms, and also available for libraries, universities, and high school streaming. It's called A Tree, a Rock, a Cloud, and it is on, it's streaming on global HD and satellite platforms, so you just have to look for it. But again, it's shot completely in the Berkshires, which is what makes it particularly interesting for us, and why we wanted people to know about it. So you can go to the movies and see places that you are already familiar with.
What's interesting about nowadays about her streaming it. We have a writer who lives in this area who put together a movie and sent it out streaming wise, and it ended up getting enough views where it might get to a bigger studio that also puts it out for release. So streaming can be both detrimental and also very good for filmmakers and for musicians, depending on which side you land on when you stream something.
Yeah.
Well, that is increasingly true, and one of the big problems right now is that people have not gone back to movie theaters. So people are at home watching movies, and filmmakers and movie theaters, movie distributors are really having to reorient themselves to a new world. Which reminds me of a story that we didn't put on our list, but we're waiting to see what happens. But we have a movie theater in downtown Great Barrington called the Triplex.
Yep.
And we think it has been sold. There's certainly a sale in the process, and the buyer is a man named Nick Parker Bowles, who happens to be the nephew of Camilla Parker Bowles, who is now the Queen Consort in England. And he has been buying up. Would be like his fifth or sixth small town movie theater, which he buys and turns into really cinema centers. Sort of celebrations of movies. I mean, his plan is to acquire also or take over the space next door to the Triplex in Great Barrington, which has been, at times a restaurant and a coffee shop and a Himalayan salt shop. But it's adjacent. It's in the same. It's a retail space in the same building as the Triplex, and he's going to, make that into a kind of bar restaurant connected, breakthrough and connect it to the movie, to the lobby of the movie theater. And, we're not exactly sure what kind of movies what his programming is going to be, but it could be very exciting to bring people to Great Barrington. And also he's, working with the Berkshire International Film Festival, and hopefully will be open in time for their 2023 celebration, which comes right after Memorial Day. So not only do we have Karen Allen, but we have a Parker Bowles coming to the Berkshires. And sorry.
We have royalty of all sorts.
We have royalty of all sorts.
When you talk about a theater like that, most people don't realize the Warner Theater in Torrington is just a beautiful, large Art Deco theater that has been totally renovated. Yeah. It originally it got its name from Warner Brothers opened up that movie theater years and years and years ago to open films and see how they play in rural areas.
How interesting!
Yeah, it's. I mean, and so there's a lot of different ins and outs in the movie industry that we have here, and the movie house in Millerton has changed the way they do things. It's more of a going out experience. Yes, it includes movie, but it's more of a going outside and doing a lot of different things at the movie house in Millerton, plus having the movie. So,
yes, actually, we were there on Sunday. A friend of ours has made a film called she hopes to distribute and also get on public television stations around the country about. It's the story of of the bombing in Hiroshima. Her life to fighting nuclear weapons and making sure that this never happens again. And it was screened in Millerton on a Sunday morning, and the theater was beautiful and, wonderful snack bars and very, very, very intimate, and it's been transformed. I haven't been there for a long time.
Yeah, they've done a good job.
And so it's a beautiful theater now and a very welcoming place.
Yeah, it's part of the dynamic change that came after COVID. One final story, because we have about 4 minutes left on it, and it seems like you folks in Massachusetts love to fight with businesses. The fight developing over a new car dealership.
Yes.
It's not a restaurant; it's a new car dealership.
No. I mean, this fight is shaping up. There's somebody who wants David. You
No, you go ahead, Marcy. Go ahead.
David's having a problem, so I will continue. But there's a company that wants to open a car dealership on Route 7, which is a commercial strip. It's a Hanover, New Hampshire based company called McGee Automotive, the McGee Automotive family, and they have put together some land on Route 7. I mean, there's several parcels. One is this place that people may know. It's been there for a long time. It's a different drummer's kitchen store. Which is a retail store, and then there are 2 residential homes, an accessory building, and a commercial garage that has been in use by the Flynn Tree Company, and then there's a 4th parcel across the street, which has been doing business as the Luau Hale Restaurant. So there were 4 different parcel that on both sides of the road, and this McGee company owns about 17 car dealerships in Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire, and so and already in Pittsfield they own Berkshire, BMW, Volkswagen, Pittsfield, and Audi Pittsfield, and so they want to relocate to this new space. And they would have 2 showroom buildings and, of course, a parking lot and a service station. And there already is a kind of garage there already. Now, this parcel of land backs up against something called the Yocon Brook. And the McGees, in buying the property, want to actually, their plan is to build in further protection for the Yocon Brook. Instead of having the commercial property go right down to the brook, their plan is to to plant a whole strip of native plants right along the river to protect the stream or river stream, whatever it is. But of course, there are now, several people who are fighting it on environmental terms. They say that this is going to be damaging to the Yocon River, and somebody else who lives on the street says she doesn't want, people are going to be doing test drives, and they're going to be driving probably down her street, which is perpendicular to Route 7. Route 7 is already an enormously commercial. It is a commercial strip. But off Route 7, there are still, there are homes. And so there's one woman saying, there may be between 2 and 10 new cars, or new drivers driving down her street, or additional drivers, and so she doesn't want that. And so we'll see what happens. It's hard to do business in the Berkshires. And we are kind of aware of that with our new business section, that whenever you propose something that's new, there's a fight.
Yeah. Well, Marcy,
that's not necessarily a bad thing, because the Berkshires are very protective of the land and of neighborhoods and so on. So we're, new businesses just have to comply with the local zoning and environmental regulations.
All right. Well, Marcy, you did it. You got through the whole show.
And David, too. David's here, urging me on.
All right. Well, you guys, we'll speak to you next week, all right?
Yes, right.
Take care.
We do have a lot of stories.
Okay, take care.
Okay, bye.
Marcy and David with the Berkshire Edge on air here on Robin Hood Radio. Of course, you can find them at theberkshireedge.com.